Welcome to part 14 of Seal Up the Book, Daniel. And we're going to jump right back into this word now. Yes, give me just a moment. Okay. Yes, this is the 14th part of Seal Up the Book, Daniel. Until it be the time. And I've been talking a lot the last few parts. Now we're going to get back into this word. Chapter 5. And we have been talking about how Nebuchadnezzar was debased by God. If you're just coming in on one of these parts, I recommend you go watch all the parts. If you truly want to understand. Not because I want you to hear my voice. It has nothing to do with me. It's because I want you to know Jesus, the one true God. I can do nothing for you but tell you who Jesus is. I can do nothing for you but point you to Him. It's Him who will save you or will not, based on your heart toward Him. And if your heart toward Him will not even be baptized in His name, then you don't truly love Him. And there's a fact that people need to come to, and they need to realize that if people truly love the Lord, they will come in and be baptized in His name. And if they're not doing this, they don't love God and they're not His. Doesn't matter how much they do their little dances and stuff like that. The devil dances too. Remember that. I mean, look at these country music concerts and rock concerts and stuff. Those people are drinking and pooping around and dancing, and their hands are in the air praising that person on the stage. Not God. Not God. And you can't say, oh, well, I can go there and praise my God. No, you can't. Because if you truly love God, you won't be in the places you're not supposed to be in. That's of the world. Those things are of the world, and you won't be in a place. And you want to say, well, what if it's a Christian concert? Same alike. You won't be in those places. Why do I say the same alike? Because are you worshiping God or are you worshiping that singer that's on the stage? There you go. It's the same alike if you're worshiping that person and not God Himself. If you're not edifying Jesus, it's the same alike. But anyways, let's get back into this word. Belshazzar, the king, not Belteshazzar now. Don't get this mixed up with Daniel. Look at the difference in the spelling. I'm going to show it to you real quick. Right here. Belshazzar. There's no T in that. Let me see. Yes. And over here we have Daniel's Belteshazzar with a T-E. See that? In the middle of it. And this is Belshazzar, no T-E in the middle. Don't get these two mixed up. I've known people that's done that and be talking to them and be like, what? No, Daniel wasn't the king. They get that mixed up and they think that means Daniel was the king. No, Daniel was not the king. Not of Babylon. The king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Boy, they get themselves in trouble with all that wine and stuff, ain't they? Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine. Now, this is breaking down when Nebi was out of it, when he was out of the loop, while he was his 7 years or whatever. While he was away, this is what happened. This is the kings that came up, those of silver and brass and so forth. We're going to get into that. The king made Belshazzar, verse 2. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father, oh boy, Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem. That the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Oh, brother. Then they brought the golden vessels and were taken out of the temple, of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. The king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. See how you invite curses upon your whole house, people that keep going against God? They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver and of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote opposite the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. That'll get your attention, right? Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another. That means struck. His knees were knocking, in other words, bang, 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 because he was so afraid of what had just happened. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers and the Chaldeans and the soothsayers. And the king spoke and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known the king the interpretation thereof. Then the king Belshazzar, greatly troubled, and his countenance was. And that means his face was perplexed. His countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished, which means perplexed. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. And the queen spoke and said, O king, live forever. Let not your thoughts be troubled, or let not your thoughts trouble you, nor let your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the Spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of your father's light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the king, I say your father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For so much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts, were found the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar, 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 not Bel now, like the king. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spoke and said to Daniel, Are you the Daniel which are of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of you that the Spirit of gods is in you, and that the light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in you. And now the wisdom of men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of this thing. And I have heard of you that you can make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if you can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, you shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let your gifts be to yourself, and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing to the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O you king, the most high, O you king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nation, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would, he slew, and whom he would, he kept alive, and whom he would, he set up, and whom he would, he put down. Now see, this king would do whatever set in his mind to do. This is what is going on in the world today, right? The leaders are setting up who they will. And they're doing their will, not God's. See you in the next part.